Okay, welcome everybody. Tonight is the 27th of December in Dallas. This is DPRG's Robot Builders Night online, virtual. My name's Carl Lott, kind of like closing into the third year of a 2-year term, looking for someone to pick up the reins next year. Basically, if you're not familiar with it, the club, free to attend. No memberships required, but we do have some fees, and regulars tend to chip in with dues. We have some housekeeping. This hasn't changed much lately. Just reminders on the left that we have some kind of club level things to take care of, because the club is a 501c3 organization. So there's a few formalities we have to maintain. And then upcoming schedule, it looks like, last I heard, we can have the Iron Rain team present in January's meeting and give an update from their what happened a couple weeks ago. Pretty cool presentation that they always give. It's really great to see these kids and what they can do. And then we have a handful of ideas kind of like floating around. But if there's nothing else, anything else somebody would like to add to this at this point? Okay, without further ado then, I didn't get a list ahead of time, but what we'll do is we'll just go around the table. Doug has something. Raising your hand. On mute. You're raising your hand on mute, Doug.
Yeah, I wanted to say before we leave that, we need to be thinking about what we want to do for competitions next year, and any community service things that we want to do. We need to you need to be thinking about things that you'd be willing to support, so that we can probably next month go ahead and actually put together the plan for next year. I think that needs we need to have that added to it there.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So it'll probably be after the Iron Rain presentation or something like that.
Community events.
Yeah. And like Carl said, he's been serving now for 2 years. Is a year over what he's supposed to be being serving. So
year 3 of 2.
Yeah. So anybody who is willing to step in as an officer needs to get in contact with us. They can just email me or Carl. They can either meet Carl or myself. He can be reached at president@dprg.org, and I can be reached at secretary@dprg.org. Okay.
Yeah, so let's, okay, so I'll just put in here, we'll discuss and.
Yeah, elections. Okay.
Right?
I can confirm Iron Rain for the 14th, by the way.
Oh, very good. Awesome. Okay, so we can even start to schedule that a little early. Good. Okay. Thanks very much, Kareem. All right. All right. So without further ado, let's do what we normally do. We'll just go around the table for anyone that has topics, things to share, or questions to raise. Preferably, we'll start with robot-related things, but it often delves into maker and other related things. So whatever surfaces. We don't have anything that I know of yet in the queue, aside from I have a couple of items. Maybe to hope to do a little later in the queue. Who would like to lead off?
I got a question.
Pat has
Pat was first. Go, Pat.
I had a club-related question.
Okay, so we got Pat, Michael. Who else can we put into the queue before we get started? Mr. David, okay.
You can put me in. I've got a question.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Anyone else? Oh, we have Jonathan. Good. And was that Harold, your hand too?
Sure, whatever.
Okay. A resounding whatever. I love it.
Yeah.
What is this for?
I probably have a couple questions too.
Well, this is the
Just
cue.
if you're gonna
so that,
if you're gonna present or talk about something.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the cue. So we just know who's coming, and we can go around the table and keep in mind that if we launch a discussion, it starts to drag on. There's other people that have something to raise. So, okay. So I've got a lot of questions. Couple of things to show maybe. So I got Pat, Michael, David, Ray, Jonathan, Harold, Kareem, and myself. Anyone else? Nope. Okay. Without further ado, Pat, I don't know. Was your question a Q question or whatever? If you got the floor, let's jump in.
Okay, so I was just on your website in the members section trying to purchase a membership, and your website isn't very friendly for your northern friends. So I don't know if there's another way I can make a payment or make a payment directly to somebody and they can enter info. I'm unable to pick a province in Canada, and henceforth the zip code doesn't work because of that as well. Doug, I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Let me add Canada to the list. Okay.
Okay, great.
And see if that so Pat, I'm using you as a guinea pig. We'll see if if this doesn't work, you can just mail a check directly to Steve Edwards.
Okay.
Or you should be able to you should be able to pay on PayPal, right?
I can pay on PayPal, but I need to be able to, for the address, you require a state, in a province, or a postal code instead of a zip code.
Okay. Well,
Why don't you just move to the United States?
Okay. Hey, just
Save us all some trouble, man.
Yeah. Hey, Pat. Just
plenty of room down here in Dallas.
Just use all of your normal information, and when it comes to the postal thing, just put 75082.
75082. Let me see if I can do that.
That's Dallas. That's Richardson, Texas. So, and if that's the only thing, if it's only this, if it's WooCommerce that's holding you back and not PayPal, then that's we'll have to figure out how to do that.
I'll give that a try and see if it works.
Okay.
My other thing was just a general comment about Christmas, and I don't know if everybody can see.
Ooh, shiny.
Got some wheels.
Yeah.
For a robot. What else did we get? We got a STM32F103 little processor board.
Yep.
Arduino Nano.
Okay.
Motor driver. Little shield. And an I2C port expander.
So Santa's clearly a geek.
Yeah.
Guess who Santa is in the family? I just kept when I see something come up for a good deal, I just picked it up on Amazon and I hand it over to my wife and then throw this in my stocking.
There's a Pat. I noticed you got a Nano board. Did you get an original Arduino? Did you get an Arduino Nano, or did you get the one that has the processor that can double speed?
I never get the original because they're much more expensive than the cheap knockoffs.
Yeah. There's a board, and I'll look up and put in the chat what the processor is. That's perfectly can clone a Nano board. It looks like a Nano board. The only difference is that they use, I think, a USB 3 port instead of the mini or the micro or whatever. Anyway, but this new processor, which is from China, has the ability to run at twice the speed. It has an ADC on it. It has a couple of pins that are really high current. I mean, like 20, 30 milliamps on the pin. Let's see, the DAC, digital, let me get that right. What's normally 10, I think, or 12 bits, it's 14 or something like that. So it's got a better, I think it's a DAC. Digital to analog.
Analog to digital?
Probably ADC.
It's ADC, I'm sorry.
Probably 12 bit instead of 10 bit?
Yeah.
Instead of 1024, it's
yeah, 4096.
or 4096.
Okay. Yeah. Now, so anyway, there's and a few other little goodies in it, and you have the ability to let it, when you put it into your boards, you can either run it as a straight nano, basically no differences, or you can run what they call something. You can run their version of it, which allows you a lot of options to like pick the clock speed, and whether or not you're using these functions. It costs the same, you know what I mean? And it's got kind of a nicer processor on it. What is the other thing that I wanted to tell you about? Oh, and the other thing that's really cool is it can be run at full speed, instead of 16 megahertz, at 32 megahertz, at the lower voltage of 3.2. And it runs at full speed. So if you're running a robot at 3.2 on all your other stuff, this guy he's a nano that fits in and doesn't have to run at 8 megahertz speed, which is what you do if you run a standard mega. It has to run at half speed. So if you go into 3.2. So anyway, I'll put the processor in an Amazon link. I have one of these, and you might want to look at it.
Did you mean 3.3 volts?
What did I say?
3.2.
3. Well, 3. I think 3. I think the official is 3.2, isn't it? 3.3.
Yeah, usually 3.3.
Okay, 3.3 then. What I'm saying is it can run it down. It actually can run lower than that. But for most people, they would be running it at 3.3 or 5. So, yeah. Okay, I'll go look that up and put it on the link in the chat. That's all I wanted to say.
That's it for me.
Cool. All right. That's cool. So Santa's good too. Let's see. So Michael, I think you were next in queue, and then we have David Ackley after you. So Michael, what's up?
All right. Well, I know y'all have discussed this before, but we need to go over it again, I guess. I got a question about the Pixie 2 camera. Could it be used? Well, kind of two questions. Could it be used for the 5-6 can competition? Or has it been used? Or is there something better to use for detecting those cans? Could we kind of go over that or give me some hints? Point me in the right direction.
Okay. Scott uses a Pixie. I think he uses a Pixie 1. I don't even think he uses a Pixie 2. He does have Pixie 2s, but he uses them on other robots. So the answer is yes. I've ran a Pixie and a Pixie 2 very successfully. Ray, you've run a Pixie, haven't you?
Yeah, and the OpenMV H7.
Yeah, the thing is, I think, so there's nothing wrong with the Pixie, Mike, and it's a good starting camera it's easy to understand, good starting camera to use. Some of us are exploring other options than a Pixie. What are the downsides to the Pixie? Well, first let's go to the upsides. Very easy to use. Very easy to use. the downside is that you probably have to tune the colors right before the contest
Okay.
because
In a room with no windows.
probably the biggest probably the biggest thing that people have had with it is it just not picking up the can colors properly. Okay. Now it's nothing wrong with the Pixie. It just means that it hasn't been adjusted right. And there are strategies around it that are more complex to broaden that range. They usually involve like something like what Ray showed earlier, where you have not, if you don't see anything in this color band, you look in this color band, and if you don't see anything in that color band, you look in this color band, and that broadens up the colors that you look at. No, it's a good board. You know, if you were really on a super tight budget and didn't want, I think they're about, I don't know, $60, isn't that about?
Yeah, I think they're 60.
Yeah, I want to say if you really were on a super tight budget, you could get a Maxi bit.
Maxi bit.
But it's much harder to set up. Probably doesn't perform. Yeah, something like what Ray showed.
Yeah.
Probably not hard to. It's much harder to set up. I would, knowing how you're progressing in your progress, I would say go with the Pixie. Now be careful. There's Pixies, Pixie 2s, and Pixie 2 Pluses now, and I think they all cost about the same. So you might as well get the newest one.
Right.
And there's also a version of the Pixie 2 that's made for Lego Mindstorms. You don't want that one. Okay. The only difference is the I2C pull-up resistors, but don't mess with it. You know, you just get the normal one. Okay.
Right. Appreciate it.
Okay.
I guess that's all I had.
I guess along those same lines, what other options are out there or newer options that beginners may want to consider?
Well, the OpenMV board is one. It's more flexible. You could,
Programmed in Python.
yeah, another simple board that you could probably use is the DF Robots Huffy lens.
Yeah.
Okay, that's more like a Pixie, but a little, where the Pixie is a blob detector only, and it's, let's see here. Where it's a blob detector only, you can read color bands, and you can also read something else, but it's all color. It's all what you would do with a blob detector. The Huffy lens is more of an AI based. Remember you heard I talked about a Maxi bit. Well, the Huffy lens is a Maxi bit in disguise. Somebody's already done the programming for you, and it can handle things like face recognition, object recognition, line following, from an AI perspective. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's OpenCV or AI, but whatever they're using in their program. And I believe it also has a blob detector too. So it has a lot of options. Another.
David, David Steele, I'm gonna mute you because it looks like you're copying feedback in.
Got feedback.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hey, no worries.
Okay. And then I say there's the Maxi Boards. There's a whole slew of them. The cheapest one, Ray, what's the name of that processor? Kindrite or?
Yeah, the Kendrite
120?
K210A.
Okay. If you use that, any of the Maxi Boards with that processors will be able to do it. They have their setup. They have a clone of the OpenMV interface that you can work with. So it's a very good way to get introduced to OpenCV. either with OpenMV or with a Maxi bit. Maxi bits tend to be cheaper, but they're also sometimes hard to get. And to get them at really good prices, you have to get them from
China.
from, what is it, Seed?
Studio.
It's either Seed Studio or Sipeed, SIPEED.
Yeah, but if you get it from them, the board is cheap, and you want to make sure you get the board, the camera, and the display board at the same time. The problem is you'll probably pay as much in shipping as you will for the board, if I remember right. The last time I looked at it.
Yeah, I thought the shipping was reasonable. At least I
Was
don't
it?
remember it being unreasonable.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable because it's one of those things you might be able to find one. The last one I bought, I actually found on Amazon, and I went to the Seed place and looked at it, and it was actually cheaper on Amazon. But a lot of times you just can't find them on Amazon, and I don't know.
What about the Oak D Light?
The Oak D Light is, you have to decide what you want to do with the Oak D Light. The Oak D Light, its main claim to fame is that it's got a Movidius chip built in. And so it's a very fast AI type or neural net processor type camera. So think things like object recognition, it does pretty fast. I mean, really fast on a Pi, It is capable of being programmed in OpenCV. I don't have much experience in that. That wasn't where I was going with it. That can all be done with an OD. You don't even need an OD Lite. What OD Lite brings to the party is the depth information. Okay. So if you don't want to use the depth information, you can get an OD, and that would provide you probably a little bit stronger. Not an OD. Oak. Oak D is the first version of the Oak D Lite. Okay. It's bigger. It costs more. You don't want it. Okay. If you're going to buy an Oak D, you want to go ahead and get the Oak D Lite. It's I think $150, and you probably, in a robot, you want a fixed lens version, not the autofocus. Yeah, not the autofocus. The Oak D is autofocus by default.
Okay.
And like I say, I've never owned an Oak board, but an Oak board is essentially just as I understand it, is like the Oak D Lite without the depth information. And I don't even know what it costs. So those are all options. Let's see. Has anybody played with the Adafruit? Not Adafruit. Audi. It's the little one. Ray, somebody demonstrated one a couple weeks ago. The one that little TOF camera. What is that? Audicam. The Audicam. Can you access that with OpenCV? Has anybody looked at it?
I haven't tried it yet. Don't know.
Audicam time of flight.
Yeah.
And you can access the amplitude image or the depth image, both from OpenCV. So in Python, so you'd be able to bring it into OpenCV as an image.
Yeah, but you haven't tried to do like a blob detector with it, have you?
I haven't tried it yet, but it is my intention to try to use the amplitude image to see if I can do a blob detection or edge detection with it.
Okay. So that's another possibility. That's so new that that's a real inexpensive board. We just don't know much about it. Yeah.
It does not have a color camera though.
That's not going to be a blob detector then.
No. So edge detection, I think, would be better off than blob detection. You may be able to do something with it with a on a black and white scale, but
Now that we're talking for the 6 cam competition. Traditionally, most people, because it was easier to do, have used blob detectors. Object recognition is now becoming easier to do, and so there may be some object detection type models being formed, and I'm not sure about how this is pronounced, but it's HAAS, and it's called a Haas cascade, and that's another way to doing it. So what you ask, well, what is the difference between object detection and a Haas cascade? Haas cascade is used a lot for facial recognition, and basically it looks at the relation that you set up. Think of it as trying to find the shape. Okay, so if you look at your options, the blob detector tries to find the color. A Haas cascade, which isn't easily done in OpenCV, well, I won't say easily. There is actually examples of it on YouTube on how to do it, that for cones, not cans, but of how to set up a Haas cascade. And that's actually trying to look at the shape of the object. And then there's neural networks, which kind of look at it as an object, or otherwise that's a cone. That's, it's just a cone, It doesn't care about the color, and sometimes it doesn't even care about the shape. We won't go there. But so there's 3 ways of looking at it, as an object, as a shape, or as a color. That seems to be the 3 main things. Now, let's go off on the limb. When that contest was initially started, it was solved by multiple people using just an ultrasonic sensor. And how it was done is their robot would run a pattern. And so if you think about this being a can, and this is your robot, and you're coming by the can, and you're going, oh, it's far away, it's far away, it's far away, something's close, it's far away, far away. Well, you've passed an object. And since the only objects out there are are cans, you can back up, turn, grab the can, and go. And so it can be solved even with a simple ultrasonic. That's all it takes.
So are you saying that people in the past, that's what they did a lot?
Well, Pixie's changed it. Okay, before the Pixies, people were trying to solve it with ultrasonics, and like I said, the problem. So you have to decide: do you want to win, or do you want to simply accomplish the task?
Right.
Okay. And I want and learn something. Okay. Ultrasonic will be slower than somebody who's using a camera, because you have to basically do a drive-by to know that it exists. Okay.
Those
well, I shouldn't say that. There are other ways, but that's the most common way.
The videos I've seen on YouTube with the Pixie 2 Cam, it just looks so stupid easy to use. I mean,
it's pretty easy.
It looked really easy.
It's pretty easy.
On YouTube,
Yeah. No, it's actually pretty easy to use. You do have to decide, you're going to have to, and I don't know what sample code is up there, but you do have to decide that, well, if I see what my target, I have to point my robot at it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But that's not a whole, that's not a hard program to make. And there's probably code up there already.
Right.
Can I do a quick presentation?
Go ahead.
There's if you want to go ultra cheap, about as cheap as you can go with a camera, you can go with the ESP32 Cam and Random Nerd Tutorials already has oops. Okay, I gotta get in percent mode. Entire screen. Okay, whoops. Okay, there it is. Anyway, this is the Random Nerd Tutorials website, and on that, he's got an example that using this ESP32 Cam with OpenCV, you can do color detection and tracking, and the ESP Cam. Usually, you can get it for under $10. I'm not sure what it's currently going for, but I think that's about right. Anyway, it'll give you you pretty much pick the color that you want to see. Like here, he's selecting this blue box, and this gives the mask image. And I think this one is an overlay. It's awfully small. I can't really tell, but it's giving the X and Y. I think in this case, it's the centroid or the center of this blob. The ESP32 Cam is not super fast. Your frame rate may be a little slower than desired. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to say in the range of maybe 11 to 17 frames per second. So not super fast. You'd kind of like it to be at least what your PID loop sampling rate is. So you get, updates as fast as that loop is operating. But for the price, if you follow his instructions, I've done it. It works pretty good. I don't think he shows what his frame rate is here on that screen. But, pretty good examples. Let's see if it's in this image. GP. I thought he listed frame rate here somewhere. Maybe he does not. Doesn't look like he does. Anyway, so that is, I think, the very cheapest solution you can find. It's, free code, and I've checked it out. It works pretty good.
You can Amazon's got 2 for $18. I just looked, so that's pretty cheap.
So not bad.
That's pretty cheap.
Yep. So probably a lot faster than an ultrasonic, but
Yeah, I think Micro Center has them for $17.99 or something like that.
For 2, yeah. Or at least they used to. I don't know if they've shown up there in a while.
That's true. I got mine a while back.
Thank you. That kind of points me in the right direction. I got a lot of stuff to play with now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heck of a lot cheaper than that Pixie 2.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's, like I said, the frame rate's probably the biggest limitation with that. It's not going to be as fast as you'd like. So. Anyway, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you guys for the help. When it comes to a 6-can competition, this might be the year of the machinist. Anybody ever thought about that?
You should do it. Take it on. Run away.
Just.
We'll see.
Yep. All right, cool. So Mr. David Ackley, what's going on in the unknown Hawaiian luau?
Well, my everything disappeared.
You're phasing in and out.
I don't know how I get out of this. Anyhow, my granddaughter gave me this globe thing from China. It's got about 8 boards, 8.5 by 11 boards that have 3D laser cutouts. It's got something like 180 pieces. So I'll be sort of out of robot building for a while I try to put that together.
I'm wondering, is the piece that's supposed to be labeled Taiwan not labeled Taiwan?
Well, they're all relatively well labeled, you know, A, B, C, 5, 8.
I was kind of joking that if it's made in China, they probably did not label the island as Taiwan.
Probably not. Probably not.
Republic of Taiwan?
And it just says made in China.
Just another island in China, right?
Yep. But anyhow, so I've got a little of it put together. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it disappears. But anyhow, I've got about a dozen pieces of the 180 put together. So I'll be busy with that for a while.
Dave, did you say it was edge lit?
Did I say what?
Is it edge lit? When you put it,
Oh, it's center lit.
huh? Center lit.
Center lit. It's got a set of LEDs that are in the center, and the sections that make up the globe are translucent. So it looks like an interesting beast.
I was going to say, is Crimea in there and the Ukraine, or is that part of Russia now?
ROKR, R-O-K-R, is the luminous globe, and the part number is ST003.
Cool.
But like I said, it's made up of something like 180 pieces, so it'll keep me busy for a few days.
Oh, it's a big puzzle. Okay.
Yes.
I'll put a link in. It looks interesting. Cool. All right. Well, Dave, good luck with that, and see how it goes. I think, Ray, you are next in queue.
Mm-hmm. I had wondered if anybody ever bought anything off of dhgate. No. Okay. Yeah, it seems like they don't really have the reputation of a Banggood or AliExpress. You know, a lot of people seem to complain about bad refund policies and that kind of stuff. Anyway, there was I think it was a Hackster article, and I was going to present here. Gamma, there we go. And these were they're a set of glasses that you use for like a drone, where you're getting the video back on your cell phone. So you stick your cell phone in this thing, and it's got like two mirrors, one here and one there, and so it doesn't require two images on your cell phone, like stereoscopic images or something. It's just whatever image is from the video feed on the, on a drone or something like that. So it just makes it a little easier to see. There's no electronics in it. Anyway, this was from a Hackster article. I don't know if anybody's seen it or not, but they're a little overpriced, not too bad. It totals about $30 with shipping, but or if someone knows of some other company that makes something similar to that, like I said, it's not, doesn't require a binocular image on your cell phone or anything like that. But
is it a see-through heads-up display?
I think they kind of describe this as two mirrors. But the guy that that described it said that, he could see, around. So I'm not certain if he's looking underneath it or what he's doing, but he wasn't real clear on that. But, what I have, or the images that I wanted to look at, were just going to be on my cell phone, not 2 images for stereoscopic vision or whatever it's called. But like most of the VR AR headsets have nowadays. So I think this
Put a
came
link
out
in the chat.
Say that again.
Can you put a link in the chat?
For this headset?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you interested in it, Kareem? Or
If it's a see-through heads-up display, yeah, it looks
okay.
like a semi reflection. What do you call it?
It might be, yeah.
Partially reflective mirror and partially see-through.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's if you don't have one of the more sophisticated or higher end VR headsets or something, this would work, I think. Okay, copy. And the price seemed reasonable. Anyway. I'm sharing. Yeah, like I said, I've never purchased anything from dhgate before, so hopefully I'm just not throwing money out to some website,
I've never heard of them before.
Yeah.
I'm going to post a YouTube video about some guy using it for a Patriot, one of the drones.
Right. So, that's where the article came from.
Okay.
And I looked at Amazon, and they don't seem to have any more, and they don't seem to, plan on getting any more in to sell. So that was, I think that's where his link goes, is to Amazon.
Yeah, there was one at one time at AliExpress, but it says no longer currently available.
Yeah. And he tried to make his own, and then just decided to buy that thing. And I thought, that looks perfect.
What do you just duct tape your cell phone to something to turn it into a fancy viewer?
More or less just for your cell phone, just to look at video feeds and stuff like that. I didn't really need one of the more, I don't know, for lack of a better term, the more modern VR headsets where you've got, 2 images that are slightly different, and it gives, kind of the 3D effect, and they have lenses in them and all kinds of other stuff, and they're definitely not VR glasses, which are like, several $100s that, actually have these small LCDs on the glass. But anyway, that's all I had. So Doug, you looked at that article then? You seem like you knew about that.
No, I just found it because it's a 25-minute video. I was just looking at it.
Yeah.
You know how you can just look at something and you can see the guy's up to something, and it looked pretty cool. So yeah. I'm just saying he's using it. He's actually using it. Do you know what I'm saying? As opposed to an article just saying, this is cool, actually using it. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah. So, in that video, he does say he can see, kind of like, I kind of got the impression it was through it. So they may be, like Kareem said, mirrors with, not 100% reflectivity. They're, somewhat, I guess, translucent.
Yeah, that's what I would think. From the looks of it, you put your phone here, and then the top mirror picks up the image. So it transfers it to the front one, and then reflects it to the one that's underneath.
Mhm.
and you look at the underneath one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, at one point in the video, he says he can see what's beyond it. So I thought, okay, is he
yeah, that
really
would
just
probably
tilting his head up and looking underneath it, or what is he
no,
doing?
no. I'm sure it's like what Kareem said. Probably 60% reflectivity.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that is cool. I haven't seen that one before.
Mm. Yeah, I think they kind of went the way of the more sophisticated headsets that you're using your cell phone, but you have the two images on it, and I guess that is what gives it the 3D effect. But
Yeah, it's probably more. That's sort of one of the things is that once you decide on a format, all the gamers and stuff are going to design to that format. So if your split screen is what you're designing for,
mhm.
then that's the type of headset that's going to dominate. But the problem, I'm curious about how, the one thing I did notice, it seems like that phone is leveraged out pretty far, and it could be. I know when I wear just the little goggles that go over my eyes so I can see,
Yeah,
it seems like, oh God, this is heavy.
get a head or,
Yeah.
neck ache from
Yeah.
craning your head forward.
Yeah. So,
Yep. He doesn't talk about headaches or anything, but may have omitted that, so don't know.
yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Thanks, Ray. Looking forward to hear what you find on that. So,
Yep.
next in queue we had, I think in this order we had Jonathan, Harold, Kareem, and then me, Carl. So, Jonathan, what you got?
I just wanted to say hi. Thanks for letting me join. And I saw on your PowerPoint slide when you started up, you had some wish list items.
Yeah.
One of them said Docker. Is that still something y'all are looking for?
Yeah. So we've had people in the past. So basically, there are a lot of and welcome, should say, welcome aboard. Joining anytime. We meet every Tuesday night and every second Saturday of the month, generally. But yeah, so a lot of the robots in the club have Raspberry Pis on them. And what you'll find in the club is a really wide range of backgrounds. People just dabbling with and getting started with software, but maybe strong in other things like mechatronics, and people who have it flipped around and know a lot about software, but have trouble with finding the right end of a screwdriver, or they've wound up using it as a hammer. I use it as a hammer all the time, but
Mechanically declined.
Mechanically declined. So, but it's really cool because pretty much if there's any particular question loosely related to robots, somebody here has dealt with it one way or another. And so what that means is that a handful of guys have messed around with Raspberry Pi based projects and robots. And a few people have experience. I mean, they're heavy in the software world and they're familiar with things like Docker, and have used things like Docker to facilitate, making their robot builds more portable across whatever, and starting off with a standard image. So the topic has come up now and then, and we're always looking for interested ideas to try and stretch. A lot of the people online have just like strong embedded experience, but some of these newer things like web APIs, cloud-based infrastructure, that's just starting to come into the club now. So things like that and Docker are of interest. So if you're interested to see it, that's good to know. If you're interested to present, that's just as good or better. So
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I've done a bit with Docker for work and personal stuff. So if y'all are looking to get a presentation on that or something, I'd be more than happy to put something together.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, pretty much. Well, you've seen the calendar; it's kind of dry at the moment. We don't have it scheduled very far in the future. So if you wanted to pick a time and just start working to it, I think most people online would appreciate that.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
I use the poor man's Docker. I just copy the SD card.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah, and then there's some other guys that talk about was it the Linux replayer journal? So they just replay the journal. Just set one up and copy the journal over, and then replay it. I don't know.
That's kind of cool. That's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to say was y'all were talking about Arduino. Has anybody here worked with Teensies before? Anybody use those? I love these things. I'll never go back to an Arduino. 600 megahertz over 16, like can't beat it. And it's got an SD card slot.
So are you using the 4.1? I assume.
Yeah, 4.1.
Yeah. My favorite was actually the 3.2 because it's got 5-volt tolerant pins, and most of them, not all of them, and I like that little small size. The 4 is similar, but you can't get any of those. The only one you can buy now is the 4.1. So I've got one sitting on the shelf right now to use in my next robot. Yeah. So Jonathan, any experience you had on the 4.1? Any tips or don't do this? I'd really be interested in hearing about it.
I don't know if I could help you much, but we could probably release some magic smoke together if you want to work on it sometime.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. Sounds good. Welcome aboard. So then, I think Harold, are you back? You look lost in the lab there. You got a new rack of stuff.
No, I've not left. I've not. I was never. Don't call it a comeback because I was never gone. That's just hello, cool Jack. Yo. No. What I've got is a couple of things, and let me make sure my what you're seeing is part of my Christmas, by the way. I got a lot of money for Christmas. And so in order to make some things happen and make my Twitch stream a little better, I have started. Okay, yeah, I'm good. I started doing a thing or two. And let's see if I can go back where I was. I can just go there. Let me give me a screen, bring a thing into play, and I'll send you a link to this on my, because I got it on 2 different computers working now, and because I got block, mega. I'm not a mega pie. Come on. Girls, you can talk better than that. One of the things I got is money. And money is wonderful because it turns into all kinds of things. And in my case, it turned into that rack back there so I can roll it around. It turned into, I believe I showed you my own air thing that I did last time. And this turns into that. I got money that turns into that.
Oh.
So it's not a very large, but it's a Mecanum wheel. We got a little video on it. Yeah. It's very nice. But I know that some of this, notably Carl, have had some experience with this. And I just saw that thing zip around an object. Circle of death is what we called it in the gaming industry there, where you got one thing and you're circling around so they can't get a bead on you directly. Your vector always has to keep changing. Is made that look way too simple. And so if you're looking at the price that it is right now, I am one lucky son because I got a Christmas sale on that. So I got that, and there's a sensor pack that comes along with it, which is another $40-50. I got it all shipped to my house for $135 because they were having a sale. And guess what? Guess what went off this very morning? I clicked the buy on it last night, and I checked it this morning, and you're checking it now, and you can see what the price is on that one. Second here, I'll give you a. If I can do all the right stuff that I need to do, copy that. Where's my meetup?
Harold, if I'm not mistaken, that thing has encoders on it too, with a Mega 2560. So it's pretty much the same platform, different vendor, but it's pretty similar to the one I've been using.
Oh yeah. Oh wait a minute. Let me change what I actually got. I went ahead and got the full boat. It says give me that plus the Bluetooth controller to go along with it. So even though it was like $119 yesterday. Today it's not. So yeah. I hate to say you that, but the thing is not huge, but I figured it'd be a cool thing. You know how I get except I'm still dealing with balance bots and other things that are going along and having a good old time. And if you see my desktop here, my desk, it's all a big mess. I got these big switches. I made this project the other day, put it together. Yeah, these are keyboard switches that are 64 times the size of a normal keyboard switch. You can see one of them exploded on there, which is pretty cool. And I just did it because I had it. And one of my Twitch stream members says, "Hey, I'm going to spend 50,000 points. What project can we build in the evening?" And so that's what it was. And it does work, and it works pretty good. Pretty good. That's spelled G-U-D. That's East Texan, by the way. So it's one of these kind of things where it's in this case, this has the platform. It goes together. They've got tutorials. They've got all those sorts of things. But a Raspberry Pi can fit into all this mess as well. And then it's got plenty of bolt-on parts and that kind of points and that kind of thing to go do other stuff with it. So that's what I thought. I've been looking at it for a while. I just didn't want to pay the $180 plus all the other stuff that went along with it. And I saw a good special on it, so I got it. And well, that and I got Christmas money. So,
hey Ray, I mean,
Harold.
Yeah,
Harold?
Yeah.
Hey Harold, can you click on the last picture, the blow up picture?
Certainly. I can even blow it up for you. Hold on. I say I can blow it up for you. So those are all the things it comes with. It has that Mega Pi, which has got interfaces for motor controllers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got some mechanical wheels on the thing. It's got a couple of sensors for like, some of the tutorials are line following and image and not image, but object avoidance and that sort of thing. And it's got some batteries off in there, and I'm sure I'm gonna have to change out the power supply on that a little bit because I'm really liking the RC car or RC stuff, LiPo batteries. You can charge them up and use buck converters, that kind of stuff to get them what you want. And I'm really liking that idea. It does, however, let me see if I can.
Mega Pi board looks like it goes in a 3D printer. Is that?
Yeah, that's what I thought too, right? That's exactly what I thought too. It does have these little yellow based motors down here, which I don't know if they got coders on them or not.
Yeah, so not steppers. Huh?
And I'm not too happy about that at the moment, but that's all right. We're going to take it as it is. We're going to roll with it. And you can see the battery up here uses a bunch of double A's all slapped in there, and I'm pretty sure that'd be an easy transfer to a LiPo and a buck converter, depending on how much voltage I think I need out of that till we get it over here. And comes with lots of stuff, and then and Macadam wheels. So, so Carl, you know, maybe I could put it into asteroid mode or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Just a little bit of programming, a few sensors, and more than a couple weekends.
More than a couple weekends. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah.
No doubt about that. What you're seeing in the background is me. That got me spending a little money on the shelves and things. The idea is I'm going to try to expand my Twitch presence, and I'm going to see if I can't get most, if not all, my projects up here invisible behind me as I'm doing my Twitch streaming, like all the big Twitch boys do, and that kind of stuff. Twitch boys, Twitch girls. I say Twitch boys because Twitch girls, they can do hot tub streams and other things to garner attention, and I don't know that anybody wants to see me in a hot tub stream. I can't believe that could be a thing. You know, I mean, my wife may, but that's just a whole different story there. So, so there's
a market for just about everything, though.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. I do not wish to be a part of that particular market. Do not wish to be a part of that particular market. Also, I got an idea. The wife got a new iPad, which means I have a 2-year-old iPad that I need to erase and hopefully do something fun with. I'm not sure what that means for fun at the moment, but you know, there's a lot of technology in one of these things, and it'd be a real shame just to chunk it on the recycle pile and let it go. You know, I'm not sure. I'll do something with it.
Something more than an extra monitor.
Something more than an extra monitor. Yeah. Because I know I can do that with the extra monitor on it. That's all right and all that. But I think there could be something more fun than that. I think I could be wrong about that though, but I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of what I got going on. You saw all my junk going on, and I've actually not to the extent that Carl has done, but I have cleaned out space in my garage. Most of it is either throwing away stuff I should have thrown away a long time ago, or actually picking things up and putting them in a proper place and getting rid of the extra packaging. It's amazing how much that stuff collapses down into stuff once you actually go through and decide what's useful and what's not. I'm not doing no, what is it? What is that, that Japanese thing? If it doesn't give you joy, throw it away when you pick it up. I'm not doing any of that. But feng shui, I believe, is what they call that. Like, yeah, I'm not.
Very,
that's a bridge too far for a lot of us.
Yeah, I come from a long line of hoarders. You know, I'm bad, but I'm not as bad as some friends I have currently, and not near as bad as my grandparents on both sides were. Just because they lived through the Depression and that kind of thing, and that puts a mental. I don't say a scar necessarily, but changes your character when it comes to that sort of stuff. And anyway, I have been throwing away stuff and putting things to the curb. I tend to call it the Mexican auction, only because there's usually a Latino type person driving around in a truck that I don't know how it gets past, but it's got a truck. It has 4 by 8 sheets of plywood, not this way on the sides, but this way on the sides, and barely able to actually roll down the road. And they're running around picking up stuff from people, putting it on the side, and hopefully making use of it. Where I don't really need it anymore, and it's some of the stuff is too much of a hassle. Like for instance, I've got an old quarter cable. See, this is what I don't want to do with it. Hold on one second. I can't tell you how I got this because I'm sure I got it through Dad. But this
an antique belt sander.
One of these is one of the original skills that's based off the Porter Cable original one that I did do a little lookup on that. And I'm sure somebody would pay me a little bit of money for this, but it's like 20 pounds here, 15 pounds, man. I'm not shipping that anywhere soon, but I'm sure there's some antique folks that would probably give me a few dollars for this, but they're probably in somewhere in Alaska, and me getting it to them is going to be a hard thing to do, right?
They pay for it. If they want it, they can pay for shipping.
I could put that on there. I believe I powered it up once, and the motor still might work. I think we'll see.
And you didn't get electrocuted.
And I did not get electrocuted. No smoke was let out during this process. That kind of stuff. But yeah, this is like I think it's from the 50s. Maybe.
That generation of tools is cool.
Yeah, that generation tool is really, really cool and overbuilt like crazy, which means, the chances of this thing still working are still high, even though I don't remember if I plugged it in or not. But yeah, I'm finding stuff. I had stuff like this that I'm like, okay, now what do I do with this? I just don't want to throw it away. I mean, it kills me to throw something less away when I know there's some geeky tool person out there that would just die to have this. And the thing is, I just give it to them. I don't really, I just give it to them if they want it. I mean, I don't really know it. Anyway, that's me. I'm rambling on about stuff now and that kind of thing. So
cool. All right. We look forward to see what comes out of the new lab, the new and improved lab.
Yeah.
Okay, I think next in queue we had Kareem, and then Mike Williamson, then myself, unless anyone else wants to jump in. So, Kareem, what you got?
I wouldn't say I've actually got anything. I just wanted to say thanks again to the folks who came down to support the tournament for judging, and then last week, or was it last week? I don't remember anymore. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago for the monthly meeting. I appreciate you joining in and giving the team advice on their own robot, and I think a lot of that advice is going to be very, very useful.
Okay,
really appreciate that.
Okay, one thing here: the smoke you see coming up. I'm a wannabe hippie. I'm not a real hippie. I'm not a real hippie. I'm a wannabe hippie. That smoke is some incense that I got the other day, and I'm, making the lab smell nice and stuff and that kind of thing. So do not be worried. I am not going to burn up on fire. And if I do, Carl's got it being recorded. So, that could go viral. So anyway, I'm sorry, Kareem.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there a type of incense that smells like burn insulation? For engineers?
No, I don't know. I picked it up and put it in, turn it on. Anyway.
Or it smells like blue circuit smoke.
That's the trouble. The insulation and the blue circuit smoke, I mean, it doesn't last that long. If only there was an incense that could smell like leaded solder or burnt parts or burnt insulation. That would bring
just keep that good feeling going all night long. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, good. Yeah.
I think Carl, it was you who mentioned. Maybe it was you who mentioned flying the gripper.
No, someone else said that.
Maybe that was Paul. I'm not sure. That might have been.
I think it was Paul. Yeah, he's not online, so we'll blame him. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's proved very helpful for the kids to sort of think about aspirationally, and they're pretty close to that now.
Cool.
In terms of, in fact, they actually switched just today to completely field centric controls. Wow. So they're just pushing around with the X and the Y. They got a separate button for the Z height, but that normally gets changed just automatically depending on the target. They've got their scoring targets working, and they're not super accurate yet, but they're down to the point where they're usually within about 3 inches off of the mark in the X and the Y. So they're very close, and the drivers can close the final distance manually. So that was a very helpful session for them. So again, I appreciate it.
Oh, that's cool. I know that for those of us involved, I think it was a very healthy two-way thing, because for whatever they got out of those of us giving feedback, I know at least I think Paul and others, I mean, we got a lot out of seeing them take feedback and then run with it. So
yeah.
That's pretty cool to see what high school kids can do. Humbling.
Yeah.
Too.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, we'd all be a lot further along if we'd had that kind of experience at those ages.
Yeah. Well, cool.
So yeah, that's all I had. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Then we have Mike Williamson, then myself, and then open mic.
Carl, I want to go after. I'll add me to the end. I wanted to show the Christmas gift here I got.
Okay, I'll put you after me. Unless you want to go before me.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Mike Williamson, you still online?
Sorry, I was coughing.
Hey, noise.
Yeah. Oh, I was coughing a lot. But, well, thanks for having me join your meeting here. And it seems like a lot of people have a lot of experience in this area, which is good. I mean, myself, I'm retired right here, and I spend a lot of my time with a performing arts group, a nonprofit. I'm their tech guy, so I build stuff. That's fun. And then a year ago, so I decided I want to make a robot, so I made a little 4-legged spider, and you can see my 3D printer right there in the corner of my room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just 3D printed everything. I just started from a scratch template, no software, and then coded it up in Arduino IDE. But I did use the Arduino Nano BLE33, which had some sensors in it, so I could, have proximity on it and stuff, so it would turn around when it was about to hit something. So that was cool. I know Jonathan was talking about the Nano. They're really nice. They're fast. And recently I've been working with, I'm trying to find a project to work with the Raspberry Pico. It's a really great processor, and I've been doing a lot of coding in Python or C, and the thing about Python is, you get 100 megahertz, but not much better than a 10 megahertz C project. But it's written in Python with huge library. So that's really good. But performance-wise, it sort of sucks it down, but it makes it more powerful, I guess. And then this is a little lighting project I'm working on, and I'm going to redesign it with right now it has an Arduino and a DMX, what do you call these? The header that you stick on there. But I need the DMX to be opto-coupled. So I'm going to design a board that's opto-coupled for 10,000 volts. This is for DMX, which is in the lighting area. Big long cables that people just throw and screw around everywhere. And so it's going to pick up all kinds of nasty voltages. And if I don't do that, it'll blow up the thing. So, and I'm going to, instead of using the Arduino down here, I'm going to use I'm going to put a Raspberry Pico on it. And the Raspberry Pico, it has some micro-coded engines in it. And what they do is they have like 32 instruction codes, and they got like 8 engines. It's used for serial protocols and video processing, very minor stuff, and it works really fast. And I use it for doing the DMX serial protocol, which is similar to UART, but there's 100 and something kilohertz, so it's perfect to work on. And it worked on one project that I used it on. I'm going to do it on this new project. So I got some skills that I can contribute. Hopefully I can help you guys out with a project.
Cool.
Cool.
That's pretty neat. Well, we have, you mentioned, I think, spiders and other little, I don't know, theater things. So we have John online has made some pretty significant spiders for Halloween. And then we have another guy who's not online very often, but he's as part of his business, he does like displays for museums, and he also does animated puppets.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah, my spider's about 3 feet across and it doesn't walk. It's just for show.
Oh, okay, yeah. And mine walks, and I did it with 4 legs, and it uses the way that spiders crawl. And I think spiders don't have 4 legs, and that's probably why mine doesn't crawl very well. But it needed 3 servos per joint, and that was just a lot. I stopped at 4 legs. I'll turn it into a dog or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks. Well, welcome. Hope to see you all back, and always good. It's good to have new ideas and thoughts coming in. So, welcome aboard.
Hey, Mike, I'm gonna, since you're into kind of like spider type things, there's a educational model that a teacher developed this, and he did a really excellent job. And the files are all available on the web somewhere. If I can find his name, I'll show you. Give me a second, and I'll show you.
Yeah, I'm not into spiders. Just thought a 4-legged spider would be simple. It was. I got it to move. And I use the sensors on the board on the Arduino Nano to keep it from bumping into stuff. So. 6-legged spider.
What is this? What the heck? Oh, here we go. Okay, anyway, it's I'll have to look to find the name. And it uses two servos per leg. And I don't even know if he's got a. He might.
Yeah, I probably overdid it.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's very easy to print. I mean, I printed this out on my printer without too much trouble. And it runs on a Nano. And it comes with demonstration software that's really cool. It does a little dance and does all sorts of wiggling around. I'll try to find the link for you and put it in the chat. It's like I say, the gentleman who designed it did absolutely a great job. He managed cable management, the whole works. He just did a nice job. We use it sometimes for when we do like a demonstration. We'll just let him just dance around on the table.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go look that up.
All right. I think then at this point I'll jump in, and then Doug, it'll be you, and open mic, or whoever else wants to go in. So, so I have 2 items tonight, loosely robot related. One is about nickel metal hydride battery. I had a charging fiasco, and then the other is about a Bluetooth low energy. So I finally made some progress on that. So first, so I had this nickel metal hydride pack. These are 2/3 AA's, 7 of them. And it's from a like 15 or 18-year-old model airplane I was going to give to somebody. So I thought I'd charge up the battery. And I had a dickens of a time. It just wouldn't charge up. It wouldn't go to 8.4 volts. I could get a couple. I was pumping. It just couldn't get it to charge up. And I was using my whiz-bang fancy Electrofly charger, and and I had this kind of alligator clip connector that I used for it, and I just couldn't understand. I thought it's been sitting in the garage way too long, and then at some point I was able to get to hold like 6 or 7 volts out of 8.4. And then I happened to notice that, wait a second, see how the cables are hooked up, how red has to go to red and black to black. Well, guess what I had done? So I spent like a couple of hours putting an amp of reverse of current through in the wrong direction. And wouldn't you know, but the pack actually held voltage that way. I was surprised. It held some. So I figured that out and I let it cool down. Thankfully, it wasn't LiPo or the house would have burned to the ground. But then I started charging it the right way, and it's actually doing pretty well now. So I was really surprised. Nickel metal hydride must be pretty hardy. It still won't hold much more than 6 or 7 volts, but I think it'll hold some capacity for a while on those. So has anyone else messed with nickel metal hydride that way and really abused them?
My guys abuse them all the time, and they manage to kill them. So yeah, they don't deal well with super high discharge rates over their rating, and then often quite letting them sit on the shelf in a discharge state for a long period of time, or at least that seems to be our
nemesis.
Yeah. Yeah, they go through them awfully fast. It's probably one of our biggest budget items.
Wow.
Unintentionally, they're $50 a pack for the ones that we get.
Yeah.
They're limited. There's only certain brands that are allowed, and they chew through them pretty fast. But we don't get nearly the number of cycles that they should be capable of. If you were very, again, we're talking about high school students, so they're not very mindful about these kinds of things. So there is a way to overly abuse them. There's an interesting product by Andy Mark, who's one of our suppliers, called the Battery Beak, or at least they carry it, which does an assessment. And there's other products on the market that'll do it, but it'll do a direct measurement of, indirect, but it'll give an estimate of the internal resistance of the battery pack, the metal hydrides.
Yeah.
And that'll tell you a lot about their ability to hold capacity and deliver current.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm waiting for them to perfect the lithium sulfur battery designs. Triple the capacity of lithium ion and much longer life.
Oh, there's a lot of fun chemistries out there, but yeah, I know. So Kareem, you mentioned that thing that can measure internal resistance. So this one from Tenergy does as well. This one's pretty cool. It supports a range of chemistries, as you can see, and it figures out what chemistry's in there. And I don't have it powered on right now, but it shows you how much time it's been running, what voltage it's at, how many milliamp hours it's put in, and it estimates the internal resistance. And then this thing, that's what's nice about these, like model aircraft and car chargers, is that they have charge discharge cycles, so you can actually and they have balancing adapters too for certain types. But you can run this thing through a charge up and discharge, and regardless of estimates of internal resistance, it'll tell you in reality how much energy did you put in and how much can you take out.
That is that we use a product like that lets us charge 4 batteries at once. So it is RC market type thing with multi-chemistry, and it will tell us that kind of stuff. It does not tell us the internal resistance. That other thing you were showing looked like it was AA or AAA.
It does 18650s as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do. Does it have like a jack on the back for like whatever kind of adapter you want to put in?
No, it only handles pre-made, like standard size cells.
Okay.
Or almost standard size cells. So like here's a 18650, a high capacity. I could open the case. There you go. High capacity 18650. And that's about the biggest that can fit in there. versus these are AAA nickel metal hydrides. But it'll charge them simultaneously. Each one has its own charging circuit. So if you manage
Tenergy,
to Tenergy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, they do really nice products. The hardest part I found is that these batteries, like since these are LiPo, single cell LiPo, but this is like a 35. This is a 3.5 amp hour, and I've measured it, and it's really close to that rating. The trouble is it has the protection circuit built in, so it's a little bit longer than the standard holder.
Right.
Which means that you have to do, like I wound up doing something kludgy for my first robot where I just got perf board. I got perf board and I found these on DigiKey and made my own little right-sized adapter, which is pretty cheesy, but it gets the job done.
It works.
You know, a lot of watt hours in a little pack. So yeah. Okay, so that was my first update. So a little energy there. Now the next update, so Bluetooth low energy. So years back at DPRG, I did a presentation on Bluetooth low energy because I spent a lot of the recent decades in my career working in mobile phones and wireless things like that. And Bluetooth is I just had a thing for Bluetooth. And then low energy comes out, which is open source and it's lower cost because it doesn't have the licensed protocols, I think. So it's less expensive cost basis. So anyhow, I have a handful of little Bluetooth gadgets like this one, and I have this display, and then I have this other one. So, and these happen to be JavaScript or Espruino based. So I've dabbled with them, but they've just been sitting on the shelf, and I've never made much progress for a few years between time or know-how or motivation. But it recently got to me that from the hoarding perspective, here's the stack of parts. They ought to be pretty cool, and I really ought to be able to put them to some kind of use. And then I noticed that I spend a lot of time walking over to the door to the garage to open it and see, is everything still there? Are the doors closed, or did somebody leave them open on me? So I came up with this great idea of why don't I take a couple of these that I got on like Kickstarter, and they look like this on the inside. So they have an accelerometer, 3-axis accelerometer, and they have like a temperature, pressure, humidity sensor. So I thought, why don't I take and BLE, they can broadcast almost like a quarter mile. So I thought, why don't I make these where I can hang them on a garage door, and then I can use these, which have little light built in, and they look like this on the inside. So they got a Nordic NRF chip, and then a CR32. So I thought, why don't I make a garage door sensor? So I just now, at the start of the meeting, got the last little bit of code proof of concept working. So which one is it? This one. So right now what I'll do is I'll hang this one on the door by the garage. And you'll see right now, if I stop shaking, that it's flashing red. Well, it's washed out, isn't it? That's too bad. Okay, so this sensor I'll put on the door. And when it's flat like that, it'll be open. But if it goes vertical, then after a couple cycles, it'll flash green. So closed is red and open is green. And if I pull the battery out of this, it would flash yellow.
Did you say a quarter mile range without an external antenna?
Yeah. That's what they claim. Pretty close to that. I mean, that's like free space. This was at the Kickstarter time. They spent a lot of time on this antenna here, this little board antenna. And and they showed some data where they had some guy set up, and this was in Europe. This is out of Finland, and they had some guy on a church steeple, you know, and then they were on a tall building, 1,200 feet away, and they were able to pick it up.
Well, you mean I showed you these a couple of weeks ago. These it's the same module, NRF. I guess you can't. Hang on, look at.
Yeah, the NRF 52 is in here. Well, it's
NRF. It's a different module. NRF 52, not a 24 LO1.
Yeah, no, that's a Nordic NRF. And what's cool is that they have like an ARM Cortex, I think M3, but they have an ARM Cortex in there, decent RAM and flash, and the and it's really convenient, I find, to code them up. Once you get in the hang of asynchronous coding with JavaScript, but and you can do compiled, like pre-compiled code, so it can run pretty fast too. Like here's another one. It runs on a button cell. And there's that Nordic chip module, but I made this as a monitor, and so this basically scans and watches for different Bluetooth beacons every now and then, and displays whatever they choose to display. And but I think it's it's not far from an Arduino form factor, so you can. It's not too hard to put shields on here. And one crazy idea was, I mean, you can actually make a robot that has a nice built-in display, and it's got some buttons on there, GPIO, SPI, I2C.
Yeah. So this module here is NRF 24L01.
Okay.
And with a linear noise amplifier on it, and it needs an external antenna to go a quarter mile.
Well, but what's the bandwidth you're sending?
Well, it's 2.4 gigahertz. If that's a frequency, I don't know about the bandwidth.
But you're sending a lot. You're sending a lot of packets really fast. Power bandwidth.
I haven't gotten to the point where I could put it that distance apart to test to see what kind of bandwidth. But
well, I haven't tested the distance. And keep in mind, like when I said they did a quarter mile, that was elevated off the ground, so that's pretty close to free space. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that the BLE protocol, I mean, when it doesn't advertise, it's at most like 31 bytes. Mm-hmm. So the power spectral bandwidth is really low.
I see.
But it's designed so that with not much power, it can get small bits of data pretty far.
Yeah. Probably similar to LoRa in that respect.
And if you're smart about how you, what you ask it to do, like how often you turn the chips on and leave them on, you can make the batteries last for years, depending on what you're asking them to do.
Yeah, well, my robot's nano processor has BLE in it, and so I programmed up on my old Samsung phone a controller. So that was cool. Yeah. So I was able to control the.
Carl, can you link the product info to those?
Yeah, I'll put some modules in. Just keep in mind that well, there's good news, bad news. So it turns out that these two things, they were Kickstarters that were launched and run independently at about the same time, and then they discovered one another. And what's happened is that the guy that did this, he's got this whole Espruino ecosystem he's built up. So he's basically, and what's really cool is that, in effect, this thing runs